Feel free to laugh at me if you want, but when I picked up Skyblazer, in my limited knowledge of Super Nintendo games at the time, I thought it was actually the highly recommended Soul Blazer instead. I was still new to the online forums at the time, and the Game FAQ's forum members would throw list after list of recommended Super Nintendo games. Not having regular gaming magazine subscriptions during the 16-bit era meant that I had to go back and learn about the games I did not own or rent in the days when the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis reigned supreme. At the time, I just remembered that something with the name Blazer was highly recommended. And while I've still yet to pick up Soul Blazer, it's on my list. I certainly do not regret picking up Skyblazer. This was a case of mistaken identity that still worked out in my favor, landing me this nearly unheard of gem for Nintendo's second home console. Skyblazer, developed by the team behind the Super Nintendo version of Hook, and published by Sony ImageSoft. That's right, pre-PlayStation Sony. Is a 2D action-adventure platformer hybrid that I can best describe off the top of my head as what you might get if you mixed a game like Mega Man X with something like Super Castlevania 4. In Skyblazer, you assume the role of Sky, descendant of the great sorcerer Skylord, on his quest to save the sorceress Ariana, who's been kidnapped by the Lord of War, Ashura, in Ashura's quest to resurrect his master Raglan, the Lord of Destruction. Not the most original story, however. What was unique for its time is that there are a few text sequences throughout the game that move the story forward, albeit not too far forward. It was unique, but Skyblazer doesn't spend too much time on the story elements in general. Skyblazer is just fun to play. I know that is not very descriptive, but I would say a lot of the enjoyment comes from the complete freedom of movement in controlling Sky, mixed with his ability to scale the walls and the special abilities he earns along the way. The gameplay overall just feels polished. Sky moves fast and moves freely. The player always has control of him, even in the air. Sky even has the ability to recover from the Castlevania-style blowback when he takes a hit in midair, and his ability to scale walls is put to good use in both the level designs and in the platform jumping elements in the game. Missing a platform doesn't spell instant death like it does in so many other games of this type, because Sky will grab the corner of each platform, saving players from certain death. The complete air control definitely makes Skyblazer feel like a platformer, but Sky's 1-2 kick combo and special attacks he uses to dispatch enemies gives it an action feel. Over the course of the game, Sky will earn a total of 8 special abilities, 7 of which he earns by defeating bosses Mega Man style. Though I found very limited uses for 4 of these abilities, the dash, the heal, and the default ability, the name of which I'm sure I would know if I had the manual for the game, but this one, are invaluable to your quest. The developers even thought enough to allow players to pause the game to scroll through the abilities, making it easier to get to the one you need in the throes of battle. From a design standpoint, the level themes themselves are standard fare. You have your typical fire, ice, and underwater stages, though the wind stage is a bit different. You've played similar levels in a multitude of games that have come before and since Skyblazer's release, but the game's blend of gameplay mechanics still keeps things feeling fresh. The level designs themselves are pretty straightforward. There are a few hidden areas, but overall they're not as intricately designed as something like, say, Super Mario World, where there are tons of warp paths and hidden areas. Skyblazer keeps it simple. However, the level designs do make very good use of Sky's abilities, especially his ability to scale walls, taking it beyond just being a cool gimmick and making it a central part of the gameplay experience. Sky's ability to dash becomes an essential ability in later levels, and can be a lifesaver when you accidentally fall off a ledge. The developers also threw in 4 flying levels to break up the action, 2 of which have sort of a shoot 'em up feel, and the other 2 act as sort of bonus rounds to gain extra lives in between the continents. Look at all that Mode 7 in its beautiful glory. Delicious. The boss fights, which occur on average every 2 levels or so, do land a little on the easy side. At least that is, once you learn their patterns. When I first played the game, I did spend many lives learning those patterns, so they're not complete pushovers. However, their patterns will not take the average gamer long to figure out. Since capturing the initial gameplay footage for this review, I've played through the game 3 more times, and have managed to beat most of the game's bosses with little to no damage, outside of losing my rhythm. So I guess I would say that the bosses in the game are medium difficulty overall, because they do take some time to learn. Graphically speaking, by Super Nintendo standards, Skyblazer, though not top tier, is still above average. The Super NES's color palette is put to good use, and the sprites are well animated. Most of the backgrounds look nice, if not a little uninspired. And the game does put some of the system's graphical tricks to use, like Mode 7, Mode 7, and did I mention Mode 7? The music is also well done, and adds almost an RPG-style mystique to the game. In fact, it reminds me of the music you would hear in your average 16-bit RPG. While I wouldn't say that they are as iconic as the themes in some games, the tracks are still well done and add nicely to the experience. The sound effects, however, are mostly generic, but not bad in themselves. If I would say that Skyblazer has one big flaw outside of its relatively easy difficulty, though that is not to say that I did not die plenty of times, it would have to do with the game's short length. My initial playthrough to capture footage only took me around 2 hours, but I did get lost for a while in the Dragon Hill Forest. This is a game you can easily sit down and beat in one sitting. The game is short and sweet, but it is a shame that there isn't more here. It feels like the game's full potential was stunted by its length. However, what Skyblazer does offer is fun enough to make it worth your while to play. And for those who do not have the time to sit down and beat it in one sitting, Skyblazer offers a password system given to the player at each shrine in the overworld map. You simply go to the password option to put in your password. Wait, stop! Does anyone else notice something about the password input screen right here? Remember, this is a Sony game released before the PlayStation, and here it is. X, circle, triangle, and square. Just an interesting tidbit, almost prophetic. The bottom line. Skyblazer is short but sweet. It is fun, but it won't take you long to beat. That being said, you certainly will not regret spending time with this completely overlooked gem. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the ending sucks, but who cares? It's a Super Nintendo. We never expected good endings anyway. Whoa, 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 wait. Stop again. Is that... Could that be? Is that the... David who?